Trying to get a little bit of serotonin in y'all because there ain't going to be much talking about this BB can. Oh boy, welcome to The Cup, the currently unnamed podcast where the tea is piping hot. We are always ready to spill, especially today because God help us all. I'm Logan Murphy, just a gay. Today the pitcher, it was filled about up to here. Because I need as much caffeine as I can get to get through this godforsaken mess of an HOH.
Hello, I am Lana, the resident diva, here to get everything, all the tea. I have my pitcher of water as well.
Good.
Because water is good for your soul.
Yep.
Hydration is key.
Of course.
And I didn't go to the store to get any alcohol. So therefore, water is where it's at right now. So yeah. And and drinking right now when I'm as down as I am about this BB can is not a good thing. So
for Thursday, perhaps we might have some vodka.
Vodka.
But our banner says it all. And we are here diving into, we're going to briefly touch on last week's eviction because we were not live for that because, life happens. Take care of yourself and your mental health, which is exactly what we did. And we're going to be mostly talking about this Monday episode of Big Brother Canada. Oh,
before we get started, let's get the business part out the way. Like, subscribe, get all the notifications from us. Yes. Comment, do everything you need to do. We love hearing from you. So comment on our videos, like it, everything. And we like interaction on our live night. So interact with us, talk with us. Let us know what you're thinking. And follow us on Twitter at The Cup _reality, so you can get all the notifications on when we are going to be live and when our other shows are going to drop, because we have plenty of content out there for you. So follow us, and if you feel like getting just to know some amazing people, follow Logan and myself as well, period.
I mean, we're pretty great, so awesome. We're a good time. We're always here, so
always.
Oh boy, Lana, my love.
Logan. Yes, Logan.
One of my favorite people in the universe. Why are we watching this show?
I was so excited about Big Brother Canada. I was very excited when it first started. I was like, this is going to be great. Yeah. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to watch it. And now, these last few weeks, I fear I'm only watching it because I want to report and spill the tea to you all. I don't really want.
It's only week 3.
I know.
I'm gonna say something. If you know my thoughts and feelings about BB 23, then you may be surprised by this statement that I'm about to make. Frenchie, you are safe in the competition for worst HOH of all time. You have been overtaken by Kyle Moore. I think my favorite part of all of this discourse that has been happening over the last few days is that BB Can 9 Kyle got back on Twitter and was like, so who's the better Kyle now? And I just love it. I didn't love him on that season, but honestly, we love the original Kyle Moore. We truly do.
I mean, I guess.
He's better than this.
He's better than this. But we'll get to that. But we want to give our flowers to the one and only Jay, who we love, and we're very sad that Jay was the second person evicted from the house. They were amazing. They gave us so much entertainment, and they fought all the way to the end. Like, they fought from the end, and they were very much a very good representation of the they them community, can I just say, and very proud to be they them. Non-binary people should be very proud that Jay was on the show to represent them, because Jay did amazing. I love Jay. But Jay fought. Jay did not go down without a fight. Jay was very much like, look, if you go take me out, you better do it. Like, if you go take your shot, don't miss.
Yeah. And in all reality, like, even though Jay did leave us last week, like, we knew it was coming, so it was really like the only like super important and noticeable part of last week's episode, other than we also do I'll touch on that in a second. But yes, Jay, thank you for representing all of us. I didn't get to say it last week because obviously protect your mental health. But like Lana said, I am so happy that Jay was in this house to represent for those of us that are non-binary, and Jess is still there doing the best that they can. And we'll talk about Jess. They are. I can't wait to get to the live feeds, because Jess is doing so much better for themselves.
Okay.
But yes, I just want to say thanks to Jay, because that kind of representation, we don't see it in Big Brother on the US. We don't see it in reality TV very often, other than Drag Race. And so the fact that we see it in some other capacity, thank you. Yeah. And
okay.
Someone has a question. What is your question?
What is your question? We would
like to answer questions. But we also want to biggest congratulations in the world to Ike and Dimitris, because they're engaged.
Yay.
And yeah, there really wasn't a whole lot else that went down on last week's episode, other than the live HOH competition that went down, where we thought Kyle was going to win, and then Kyle did not win, or we thought Josh was going to win, and then Josh did not win, and then Kyle won.
Yep.
And we knew it was going to be bad, but I don't think any of us anticipated how bad it is and how bad this was. Yeah, so we start this episode, and obviously we know that there were 2 rogue votes in the last episode. We know that those came from Herman and Kyle, and obviously their plan was to throw that potentially on to Jess. And Jess is confused about the vote count, because had they known there were going to be votes on Jay, they probably would have put a vote on Jay. But yeah, so they're just confused. Kyle openly admits to the house that he voted to keep Jay. And he cast a rogue vote in an attempt to paint a target onto Jess. But little did he know, Herman also wanted to throw a rogue vote onto Jess, or onto Jay, and paint it as if it was on Jess. So Kyle just openly admits, yeah, I voted to keep Jay. And everyone's like, well, who was the second vote? The second vote. There was a second vote. Who got the second vote? And Jess is like, no, I voted Jay out. It doesn't make sense. As much as I love and appreciate them, it doesn't make sense for me to keep Jay, because that's what I thought the house was doing. So that's why I'm voting to keep Betty. And it was just like a whole situation. I mean, it kind of worked. Not really. I don't know what really was happening. Whatever. And then obviously we get the little snippet of the HOH, and then Kyle walks off. He's in the Expedia room in the back, and he's doing just fine, Lana. He's doing just fine. He keeps telling himself he's doing just fine.
He's great. Yeah, he's great.
But yes, so this is also the moment, because of what happens in this episode, we have to talk about the retreat, which is an alliance, that we had not discussed at this point on the show. We knew about it, but the retreat consists of Kyle, Gino, Herman, Steph, and JL. As I'm calling her, I don't want to refer to her as her name because I just don't want to anymore. I'm
distracted. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I want to address the comment that we got and ask, what does black look like best? That is what was asked. And the black looks like, what does black look like best? I don't understand what you mean, but I will say this. Black looks beautiful in any way you form or shape form you want to make it. So yes. Black is always beautiful. I'm glad you think I'm beautiful because I know I am. Thank you, but I appreciate it. And the LGBTQ community is very much loved by us here on The Cup.
Oh, obviously, yes.
Obviously, yes. So I just wanted to address all of that before we continue because I was very much distracted.
Sure.
But yeah, black looks best in any shape, form, or fashion you want to put it. However way you want to put it out there. On me, on a dress, in your hair, in your eyes, on the walls, on your car. Black is everything. Black is beautiful. Black is sleek. Black is all that. So that answers your question. All right, thank you. Back to what we're talking about.
Yes. So we finally get acknowledgement of the retreat because we had to, because it becomes relevant in this episode finally. I was like, okay, I see what y'all are doing here. Okay, work. So we then see Jess getting a little bit emotional to JL in I think it's the question mark bedroom. Yeah. I don't know what we're calling the bedrooms this year.
That's what I'm going to call it because it's just a question mark.
Or was that in the money room?
I can't remember which room, but I do know there's a question room and there's a money room.
The purple one.
Purple's great.
There's red and there's purple, I believe. So we're going to the purple one. I haven't been paying attention enough to the house. But yes, so Jess is getting a little bit emotional to JL about this rogue vote situation, angrily folding their laundry, as they say, which I loved.
Angrily folding
laundry.
When they should be down there looking angrily at people, just staring and glaring. That is what they said. They said they should be glaring, but they're going to angrily fold their laundry.
I told you, Lana, if Jess could just get through the first week, that they were gonna get somehow in the middle of this game. And Kyle Moore has had a lot to do with why I don't think Jess's target is nearly as big as it was. So
no. Jess is no longer the house votes in this situation. No.
Oh God, no. But we also see Betty, Josh, and Jess together discussing how Kyle has this boys club. Betty definitely thinks that her and another woman will be going up. Another woman or Jess. Or another woman and or Jess is what they were alluding to. And then we get Kyle's.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, Kyle, we're going to Kyle, right? We're talking about Kyle, right?
It's the HOH reveal, yeah.
Okay, I don't really care about the HOH reveal. Kyle said something at some point. I think it was right after he won the HOH, or it was right after he got his room. Because, his room is kind of as bland and vanilla as he is, so whatever. His reveal is whatever. I honestly don't care much for it. I went and made dinner at that point just because
good.
Because I didn't care. But he did say something. He was trying to hype himself up and talk himself up and was like, if this house thinks that I'm just going to do what the house wants. They're crazy, and every person should be nervous about me being HOH. And I don't want, he said something to the effects of, I don't want it to be like an easy thing. I don't want, like, he wants to be legendary, like making moves. And, he wants to make some moves and some shifts. He doesn't want it to be boring.
Yeah, so you see it a little bit in this episode. We're going to talk a lot about it when we get to the live feed portion, but Kyle has perhaps the most severe case of HOH-itis that I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
He is so preoccupied with trying to be a legendary player that he, in essence, which we will see on Wednesday as well, and we will talk about that episode and the eviction on Thursday, it has gotten to the point where he has completely demolished every single inch of his game, except for one person. And we'll talk about that one person.
But even that one person is going down with him. Out. Yeah.
That too.
Oh my God. I should have wrote it down when I heard it, because he made a comment that I was like, what game are you playing? Because he made a comment about how he doesn't want the, I guess it was probably when he was talking about not trusting the people in his own line. Like, it was just, I forgot what he was saying.
It was about how he doesn't want to play the house's game, right? Something along those lines.
And it wasn't that because like, I get not wanting to play the house game. That's not bad for your game. It was something else he said, and I was like, what? Like, he spoke out both sides of his butt, like, at the same time. Like, it was ridiculous, because he was very much very counterproductive in what he was saying, and very, like, contradicting his statements. Like, it was very much back and, like, he would say one thing and then it was just weird. But I can't remember the exact quote, and I didn't write it down because, like I said, I was going to make dinner at that time. So I'm sorry, I forgot. But
you're good, honey. Don't worry about it. I might have it written down at some point here, and maybe we'll revisit it. I don't know. But at this point, this starts the series of Kyle conversations, because obviously he's the HOH. So we start with Jess. And Jess is obviously a target for most of the house at this point. Kyle says that he had a vision that Jess is the only person that can take him out of the game. And Jess, knowing the way that Kyle operates and also being very true to Jess, says that they had a vision of before they came into the game, they had a vision of a tall, broad-chested man that they needed to win over in order to do well in the game. I still don't know how much of a degree of truth there is to this.
I mean, she might have had that vision.
Yeah.
But he's not broad. He doesn't have broad shoulders. So I think
if you're talking about a tall, broad-chested man,
I thought that was Josh or Gino.
You're talking about Gino.
That's it.
Herman?
He's not tall.
Oh yeah, he's not.
He doesn't look tall at all to me.
He's nice to look at, though.
I mean, I didn't say he was bad to look at. He's just not tall.
Sure. There's not a lot of tall men on this season.
No.
They really...
the tall, broad-chested part, or broad-shoulder part, to me, would have signaled either Josh or Gino, not Kyle. But totally. Go off, sis. That's what you do. What you got to do to make sure you ain't on the block. You do what you got to do to make sure. And Jess did that. Jess was just like, after her vision, she was like, I know what kind of guy this guy is, and it's still true to me. But just like, I'm going to play into the power trip that Kyle is already on and starting to be on. And Jess just did that. Jess was like, I had this vision and I'm going to win you over because we should work together. Why? If you feel like I could take you out, then you should want to work with me. So we're not going after each other and we can make it as far, blah, blah, blah. And Kyle is like, Jess might have won me over. I'm like, okay, great. Good for you, Jess. Do
I
what you
was
got to
like,
do.
go off, Jess.
Go off. We move.
Get it, my love. I'm excited.
You do what you got to do.
Yep.
But, yeah.
Yeah. So after that, we see a duo of conversations with Betty. The first one is with JL, where Betty is talking about the rogue vote, where Betty doesn't really care.
Okay.
All that much. I did see that. We're gonna talk about it later because I'm excited. Yeah, that's just a series of things that have happened, but I did see that and I love it. Except we don't love JL, but we love JL going after Steph.
I mean, I just wonder what happened, but okay, we'll talk about it in the feeds. But go ahead.
But yeah, so Betty is talking to JL about the rogue vote, and Betty doesn't care where the rogue vote is. She's over it. She's moving along, but she knows that it was from someone trying to spice it up because she does believe that Jess wasn't the rogue vote.
Right.
Jess had a couple of different conversations with Betty where they were like, I voted to keep you. I need you to understand that. And I hope that you believe me. And Betty does. So we love that. And then the conversation with JL shifts to talking about her thing with Gino, and Betty says that it's going to take her far, but we find out that JL isn't afraid to take him out of the game, which like, okay, cool, whatever. This starts the series of conversations talking about the potential of a guys alliance, which is already in motion. Thank God these two understand and see it. Because then Betty has to go to Kyle to try to save her own ass and says that he's never been her target, even though he is. And that she can be a number for him, even though she's not. And Kyle is blank face because the majority of the time. Oh, go ahead.
Also, I just said blinks. He's just blinks.
Blinks and straight white man. And at this point, Betty was going to be a nominee. Kyle was telling everyone at this point that Betty was going to be a nominee. We didn't know who the other one was. That quickly changes because then Moose comes in to talk to Kyle. And this is actually pretty chronologically correct, which I appreciated from the show. They weren't like taking things out of different contexts, at least in this situation. But Moose and Kyle have a conversation. And this is where we hear Moose also acknowledging that this is the first time it's mentioned on the show that Moose and Kyle know each other. Because they went to the same college, got the same degree, but they were a year apart. So that is, in case y'all didn't know, Moose and Kyle know each other. So, Moose is like, well, I can be a sounding board for you. I is communicating. Moose throws out Steph. And then we see a little montage where other people are calling out Steph as a name to potentially target. Specifically, Summer, Gino, and Jess are the people that we see mention Steph's name to Kyle. So at this point, Kyle is like, well, I'm aligned with Steph, but if everyone's bringing up her name, I guess I have to nominate her.
But you don't want to go with the house vote. Okay.
So then...
Okay.
There were so that was the last conversation, I believe, of that evening. There may have been a conversation with either Marty or Herman that happened after the Moose conversation. But the next morning, prior to nominations, the only two people Kyle had not spoken to were JL and Steph. So we see JL talking to Kyle. And he tells her...
He's like, you're not going to like this. But I'm have to put up Steph. And she was like, what? But we're just in an alliance together. That means the retreat is over? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, but she's gonna be pissed. Oh,
well,
and then her last thing that she says before in the confession was like, I guess I got to get on the cow train or I'm get ran over.
So what the edit isn't showing. I'm gonna cue in with a little bit of live feed stuff here for a second. A la the comment that good old DM Rocks made earlier. So the edit is trying to make it seem like JL and Steph are best friends.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, JL is the closest with Betty at this point. As far as like women are concerned, like her duo is not with Steph. Her duo is with Betty. But they have been so, JL and Steph have been so like together in a way since day one that they had become a duo. And I believe it was actually Betty that informed JL of this perception within a lot of people's minds that Steph and JL were a duo. And JL was like, no, absolutely not. She's a bitch.
Oh.
That's where like one of the first conversations. So JL does not like Steph.
And that is why the JL comment in the HOH room makes sense, because JL said her bitchy behavior is only going to go so far and people are only going to take it for so long. And so if you don't watch live feeds, that seemed to have come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because you, like you said, the edit shows JL and Steph are the duo. They are together all the time. They're like besties. But that's not the case.
And I think prior to, we're about to dive into Steph versus Moose. But I think prior to Steph versus Moose, JL would have been the other nominee. I think it would have been either JL or Betty. And but then, you know, everything changes because Steph and Kyle finally have their conversation before nominations happens. Kyle says that in terms of numbers and negatives towards his safety, his words, not mine, he has to put her up. And Steph is pissed. And I had the honor and privilege of watching this live. One of the few times I've actually been able to watch live feeds this season. Oh boy, it was lovely, gal. Because Steph is livid. She says, like, honestly, the amount of anger she had throughout this whole thing was about a quarter of what actually transpired. And a quarter of how angry she was, because she was screaming at certain points. So she tells Kyle that she's only said that he's a mastermind when it comes to memory, and says that she never would have targeted him. Which I have to say, I do believe.
I believe too, because she made the alliance with him. Like, why would she make an alliance with him when she knows at some point early in this game she would put him on the target list? Exactly. So I feel like she was very genuine, and nobody gets that upset like she was if they weren't being genuine about their feelings. Like, I would have never done this to you, and the second you get in, you do this to me when we just made an alliance. Was that fake? Was that not real? Did you never think that? Yeah, she was livid, and I think it was justified to be livid and upset about it, because you make an alliance with somebody and they win HOH, you feel like, okay, I can kick back, I can be safe. And yeah, but like, I feel this way about both nominees actually, who felt very safe and very comfortable with this HOH. But we'll get into that. But yeah, Stephanie's livid. She's mad. She's yelling, and everybody in the house is like, "Oh my god, listening!" And
my favorite part of this entire fight is Summer. Yeah, no, Summer is my favorite part. My second favorite part of this fight is JL in the bathroom, in the reflection of the mirror with Gino being like, putting on her concealer, just like, oh God, she's in the HOH. Oh no. Oh Lord, she went to go get Moose. Oh no. On this same concealer the whole time. I'm like, girl, how long does it take you to put on concealer? It takes me like 2 minutes. Hello?
Some people have more to conceal, baby. Some people have more.
I have a lot. Don't worry. There's a lot there, but no.
Some people have a little bit more to conceal. But
Not
So
JL though.
no,
She's my
she's gorgeous.
age. Like,
I mean, look, some people have hard lives, and we don't know what the crow's feet look like under JL, all that makeup. But whatever. Never.
anyway,
JL, you're beautiful. Fine.
so yeah, I mean, we don't love you, but sure.
I don't have an opinion yet. So.
Oh, did you not see what happened on Twitter?
Not everything. Oh well, I saw her tweets. Yes. You know, I give people space to make mistakes.
Okay. She wasn't my favorite person to start with. She still isn't. That's how I feel, honestly.
She's the non-factor for me, so that's why I really don't care. It's to be expected.
I'm not surprised in the slightest. But yeah, so Steph straight up asks Kyle, like, who is saying this, and he says 4 or 5 people. Kyle is not giving names because he knows better. One of the few things Kyle has done well is to not know better. Except Steph is like, well, Moose has been spreading so much shit in the house, and Kyle is like, yes, Moose was one of the people. Moose was one of those people. So she gets up, leaves the HOH, goes.
Where's Moose?
Where's Mouse? You've been talking so much shit, yada, 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 yada. Come to the HOH. And he's like, I have food. She's like, I don't give a shit about your food. I was like, oh, no. Lord Jesus. Okay. So then it is Steph versus Moose. And Steph is not giving him names of people that have said that he has been spreading misinformation. So Steph is also not giving names. So Moose is like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. But Kyle does openly say in the middle of this conversation that Moose floated her name to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Moose is handling all of this pretty gracefully, if you ask me. Moose is doing a pretty good job. You know, he says that he wouldn't have put Steph up as if he was HOH. Steph is saying that he's riding the middle, and he kind of dampens the fire to the point where she hugs him on his way out.
Mm-hmm.
And this is cause enough for Kyle to have red flags all over his brain saying that Moose is an award-winning actor and is lying, and now he wants to target Moose?
Let me talk about Moose for a second, and then I'll jump to Kyle. I feel like Moose did what Moose had to do in order to calm down someone who was livid and yelling and screaming, and to temper the situation. Like, he calmed her down and played. Now, I guess Kyle is intimidated by seeing good gameplay because he doesn't know what that is, because he doesn't have those skills to actually have good gameplay, because he just crapped his pants with this HOH. So he doesn't know good gameplay, but he knows it when he sees it, and he saw it in Moose. Yep. And it intimidated him because he knew, just like Moose just calmed her down, he could probably do the same and win over everything. And so that put fear in Kyle. And I'm like, okay, Kyle, whatever. So now Moose becomes the next target in Kyle's eyes, because he doesn't trust anything that he has said to him to this point, because he just gracefully, as he put it, lied his way through. And, you know, because he feels everything Moose just said to Stephanie was a lie. So it's like, okay. But I just think it was Moose just trying to deflect the situation.
Agreed.
And I don't think he was lying. He might not have put Steph up if he was HOH. That might not have been a good game for him, but he wanted Kyle to do it because that was a better game move for him. But whatever. Kyle gets intimidated. Kyle got intimidated by seeing Moose actually play the game and deflect the situation that could have been very ugly and very, tumultuous. But he calmed it down, and that intimidated Kyle. So now Moose is a target for Kyle as well.
And I will say, I saw someone say this online. I don't remember who it is, and I'm so sorry. I want to reference this person, but I don't remember who it was. But I saw a comment online that was talking about how, like, obviously we know Kyle only started watching Big Brother Canada in the last year because he was brought into all of this. What someone acknowledged, and I think this is really, really important, knowing a little bit of the background of Kyle, to our knowledge, never watched live feeds. Kyle only watched the episodes, and so wants to be the big player in the eyes of the edit and in the eyes of the show, but never watched live feeds, so he doesn't know the strategy of the game. He thinks he knows the strategy of the game, and he thinks that everything he's doing here is good gameplay and that he's going to come out of this being a legendary player. But in reality, he has never watched the actual inner workings of the way that this game is played. And so he is playing a version of this game influenced by the edit of the producers of Big Brother Canada. And that is just so interesting to think about, because I didn't really think about that until I saw that. I didn't think about it that way until I saw that comment.
He is definitely playing the casuals game. He is like that. That makes sense, because when you watch it as a casual, someone who does not watch the live feeds, who doesn't see every conversation that's, the important conversations anyway that the cameras go to. But if you're not watching that and seeing how somebody can walk from room to room to room, pitching and pleading and plotting and scheming and strategizing, you see what the editors want you to see. So that's what Kyle is basing his. He thinks all these legendary players got legendary by winning HOH and making huge, crazy moves. When it's like, no, it's a method to the madness of it all. And we'll talk about his Wendy's thing, because he got a message from John Party, who won season 2 of Big Brother Canada, telling him, don't let the power go to your head. Don't let the power go to your head. Sound advice. Very sound advice, especially this early in the game. Sound advice. And he's like, oh, great, that was awesome. And he did the complete opposite of what John told him to do. He totally let the power go to his head. He started flinging things. Like, he was starting to make stuff up in this episode. Just start making... I did this to test Moose. No, you didn't. You just threw him under the bus. That wasn't a test. That was a blatant throw him under the bus.
Oh, God.
And then it just gets worse and worse, this entire episode for Kyle, for me, and watching it. It was just bad. Like, then he goes, like, now he's blowing up alliances left and right. The retreat is going to be over.
Starting with telling Kevin... on the Wendy's
about the retreat. I'm
of all people, you're gonna tell Kevin?
You said it yourself. You just said Kevin is somebody who everybody seems to trust and tell all the information to. And I want to get the information that Kevin got. But you don't get the information from Kevin because you start telling Kevin all your information. Like, what? Kevin is living in this moment. Kevin is eating his spicy chicken sandwich, eating his frosty, like, tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me more. And all you're doing is feeding into everything Kevin is going to use against you later on down the road. It's like, what?
Lord help us. Honestly.
Lord help us. You're an idiot. Then, after Wendy's, he tells Tanisha and Summer and Herman.
It was Josh.
It was Josh. It was Josh.
Because Herman, Herman had a conversation right before this.
Yeah, and he told him about Moose.
Yeah, one-on-one, where Kyle was like, is dismantling the entire alliance. Then
he tells Tanisha, Summer, and Josh that he's going to nominate Moose. Well, he's thinking about nominating Moose because Moose can't be trusted. And I'm going to tell you something big. My degree is not in English.
My degree is in
sports media.
And you know who else's degree is in sports media? Moose.
And
we went to the same college.
And he's a year older. And Tanisha, can I be Tanisha? Please.
The episode is Tanisha.
I gotta be Tanisha.
Please do.
Tanisha says, okay. And what
Who cares?
Who cares? We don't care. You know each other. You might work with each other in this game. You might not. We don't care. But what you're doing right now is throwing and splitting up this alliance. It's like blowing it up.
Well, so there is an interesting clip prior to the iconic moment of Tanisha, which, God, I love that woman so much. I'm so happy she's in the house. If she was an alternate, I'm very happy she's there. The point is, so prior to that, when Kyle is throwing Moose under the bus, I noted this because they, for once, BB Can actually did a flashback, which they do sometimes. We haven't seen in a while, but they do a flashback where Kyle tells Summer, Tanisha, and Josh in this moment that if Moose had won HOH, he said that 2 of the 7 would have gone up. I also want to acknowledge, by the way, that I want to say it's because of the word that was originally before 7 that I don't want to say because it is very disrespectful to Indigenous peoples. I would like to acknowledge that BB Can has also not used that word in like the narration. And I think they told the house guests not to use that because I've only heard it referred to as the 7 since like day 6 or 7.
Okay.
So with that being said, I appreciate BB Can. That was just another tangent in my brain that I wanted to get out because if that was intentional, I appreciate it. If it wasn't intentional, I still appreciate it because I don't like the use of that word. Anyway, Moose said, so the flashback is Moose in a conversation with, I believe it was Marty and Kyle, where he said to Marty and Kyle that if he wins HOH, he would have nominated Herman and Tanisha. So this whole bullshit is actually rooted in something real. Which is the wildest part of this whole situation. It's like, what is happening? Like,
I mean, in his mind, Kyle is doing everything right. In his head, he's like, this is what he said. So I'm really just telling the 7 that he cannot be trusted because he wanted to go after the 7 in his own HOH, if that's the case. So in Kyle's mind, which is true, which is fine because it is facts that was what being said, and that Moose did say what he said. And if Moose was to become the HOH, he probably would have targeted them. But now it's just poetic justice for I'm not mad that Kyle put up Moose because I like Moose has been getting on my last nerve anyway. But like I think this is something to wake Moose up because Moose thought he was very comfortable and in a very great position this game. So I think this woke him up a little bit and good for that. But the fact that Moose was ready to turn on his own alliance week 2, week 3, it's like now, guess what? Now they are turning on you because you are not being loyal. Maybe you can't be trusted.
Oh boy, Jesus. Yeah. So We also see Herman and Gino acknowledging that Kyle is drunk on power, and Summer comes into the phone room with them, and Herman is like, how are we going to deflect this? Like, it's going to blow up. How are we deflecting this?
Yeah, they're like, there's no way Moose is going to just take this line down and be like, quiet about the 7.
Yeah. So the last two things we see in the episode are the Bel Air safety, security, eviction insurance. And for some fucking reason, Marty wins it.
Canada, let me talk to you, Canada. Let me holler at y'all for a second.
You take a moment to talk to Canada.
Okay, let me talk to Canada. Canada, I like you. I like you. I love you. I'm a fan of Canada. I've been to Canada. I enjoyed my time in Canada. What I don't understand is why Marty. I don't understand Marty. Marty was not in trouble. Even when the votes were out, Marty was not in trouble. Why not the people who were really in trouble? Now, I don't want to make any accusations, Canada. I don't want to say what these votes are rooted in. I don't want to say that because I don't want to think that that is always the case. But Betty was just on the block. Betty could have used it. Jess was on the block. Had to get the Vito to get herself out. Jess could have used it. Jess is a no house target. Betty was on the block. But you say, Marty? Come on, Canada. I don't understand your thinking, your logic here. Now, like I said, I don't want to say what I feel, what could be possibly the root of this vote. But
and I would agree with that.
I don't want to say it, but I just need y'all to do better in your voting process. Now, look, I'm not saying that America's any better than them. Okay. Because in America's vote, God knows, it probably would have been the same way. But I'm pleading to you for me to you. Mm-hmm. Let's do better. Let's look at the live feeds. Casuals, if you don't have time for live feeds, check out a couple of spoilers, check out a couple of updates and things before you make your vote. Vote responsibly, people. Vote responsibly. Thank you very much.
We'll talk more about Marty because, boy, Marty is doing the most still. And, yep. So we got the nomination ceremony. I didn't write down anything that Kyle said because, quite frankly, I don't want to listen to his voice. Steph and Moose are the nominees, and that part. So, yeah, we got to dive into some live feed stuff because God help us, so much has happened. If you do not want live feed spoilers, this is your opportunity to depart. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. But we are about to talk about everything that has happened pretty much up to date in the Big Brother house. So please, at this time, click off. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We appreciate you.
Okay, besties that are still here, let's dive into it. Oh,
Period.
Lord help us all. Okay, we're going to do our best to dissect what has happened over the last couple of days.
It's a lot, people.
We're probably going to get some stuff wrong. Some minor details we're going to get wrong.
Feel free to fact check us. Feel free to fact check us and tell us.
Please. I am going to pull up an alliance chart because it's one of the only things that will actually pull everything together. But oh god. So where do we begin? So I guess we could start with Vito. Vito's a good place to start. So we had the Vito player selection on Saturday. The Vito players are Steph, Moose, as well as Gino, Betty, and Josh. This is Betty's third time getting drawn to play in the Vito. And I'm like, okay, cool. It's always going to land on Betty. Cool. I don't believe we know what the veto competition was, but we find out that Moose wins the veto. This kind of wild, kind of crazy, because now Kyle's plan is ruined, and this throws everything into a tailspin. So I'm gonna save a lot of the details because it's a lot, but pretty much Marty goes to Kyle and talks about how he is threatened by Josh because of Marty taking out Jay the week before, and they were very close, Jay and Josh, obviously. So that kind of becomes the root of it. Originally, the replacement nom and one of the initial noms was going to be Betty. Kyle even let Betty know on both occasions that she was getting nominated. So Betty fully anticipated being the nominee both times. We then find out, because of Marty getting in Kyle's ear, Kyle is so impulsive that he decides he needs to target Josh and lets Josh know about an hour before the veto, saying that, and I quote, "I have to nominate a beautiful boy from Calgary," which is just like, really demeaning, if you ask me. Not a great look. Lana's back. Hi, Lana.
Hi, technical difficulties.
We love it. It's just the best time. I'm talking about Kyle's tailspin after Marty tells Kyle that he's threatened by Josh because Marty took out Jay.
Why would you be threatened by Josh, Marty? Because you took out Jay. I wonder why.
Would you? I'm so sorry.
I wonder why that correlates with each other. Why is Jay?
I wonder why they're also both threatened in different ways by Summer, Herman, Tanisha, Betty. That's
Jess?
all. Well, just in a different conversation, but in this specific instance.
But yes, in this specific conversation, yes.
I'll say it. In case you don't understand the correlation between these six people, they mention all of the people of color minus Helena.
Like I say, in these games, this is even when you're not even trying, even when you don't even do it, even when it's just not the case, white people's imagination is the scariest place for a person of color.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because all you have to do is exist, and you're suspicious.
Yep.
You're not trustworthy. Mm-hmm. And all they literally did was breathe.
I'm tired. Like, I don't want to say that's what it is, but I'm going to say, you're fine, honey. I'm not going to say that's what it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it is. But yes, so that ultimately leads to, obviously, Moose uses the veto on himself.
Mm-hmm.
And the final nominees for the week are Steph and Josh.
Yep.
And unfortunately, this is going to be a closer vote than any of us would like it to be.
I don't even understand what is going on and why this vote is this way. I mean, unfortunately, I feel like it's nothing against Steph in this matter, but everybody else in this house, if they're not seeing what we're seeing, it's very like you're choosing not to see it. So anybody who's standing behind this madness with Kyle and Marty and them deliberately separating the house in forms of literally people of color. And Gino, sir, dear, you might not be you might be Greek, but you're like once they're all gone, you're the next thing of color to that list. Helena as well. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand if they are thinking of voting out Josh. That makes no sense to me. I get Gino is broing it up with Kyle, but
that's why I think because I think Gino is not wanting to rock the boat, but is potentially going to end up in the minority. So a lot has happened today ever since the Vito meeting. Obviously, we have a pretty good understanding of who's voting to evict certain people, who's leaning different ways. I'm going to go ahead and throw that on screen. Thanks to our good friend Cassie. Praise be you, Cassie, because it's pretty difficult to decipher otherwise. Speaking of the Twitter on screen, make sure to follow us on Twitter at @thecup_reality. But so where we're at currently, and I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit more. So where we're at currently is we have 5 confirmed or very much so confirmed. I think at this point they're confirmed. We have 5 confirmed votes to evict Steph in Summer, Tanisha, Betty, Jess, and Helena. We have 3 votes to evict Josh, currently being Gino, Marty, and JL. We have 2 votes leaning towards voting out Steph in Kevin and Moose, and we have a vote leaning towards voting out Josh in Herman. Now, Herman is an interesting situation because Herman has acknowledged that he doesn't necessarily want to keep Steph around. What they also have failed to show on the show is that Steph and Herman are not in a showmance, but they've been making out for the last few days. So regardless of that, Herman basically wants to try to have his cake and eat it too, in a way. He is potentially leaning towards voting out Josh, but if Steph goes, it's not the worst case scenario for him. So yeah, that's it's Lana. But yeah, so Herman is in a really weird situation where he's it's strange. He's okay with Josh getting voted out, but if Steph goes, he's not mad at it. He's really still trying to ride this middle that is no longer existing because of other alliances that we'll talk about shortly. But
I feel Herman is getting on my nerves. Seriously, sir. You can't ride this middle in this situation. I get you kissing on Stephanie at this point, and I get it that you're but what's your long plan? Is she in your long plan? Is she in your long game? And that's the only reason I feel you keep anybody around if they're in their long game.
Yeah.
At this point,
what the nominees, the voting is Thursday.
Yep.
Veto's over. At this point, this early in the game, I would already know what I'm doing. Like, my mind is made up.
Yep.
I know what I'm doing. There's no riding the middle. There's no back and forth, leaning this way, leaning this way. I know what I'm doing on Monday after the veto, whatever.
Yeah.
After veto is won, and we know who the final noms are, because you see what's happening, Herman. You see what's happening. You see you see what's going on. That's all I'm gonna say. But you continue to do what you do. But
yeah,
we see you. Also, did you talk about the stalker of the house?
I have not yet. No, I was gonna get there. So, Marty has decided that he's gonna make it his life's mission to follow Josh everywhere he goes in the house to prevent Josh from being able to campaign.
I don't like that man.
No.
I don't like that man, and that is not that's not cool.
No,
That's not
at all.
cool. Even this is a game situation, and everybody should have the right to play their game. They're the best that they can. And if you're preventing somebody from campaigning, that's disgusting. Number one, that's not good gameplay, because all that does is irritate me, and it would irritate I think it should irritate anybody who is trying to talk to Josh. Even if they're not going to vote his way, they should still have the opportunity to at least talk to him. And the fact that you're always there is very annoying, and that's so rude. I hope somebody called him out on it. I hope Josh said something to him like, dude, why are you following me everywhere I go? Like, seriously, stop. Like, this is very much annoying, and you are being whatever. But little does Marty know, Josh don't have to campaign for himself, because other people are doing it for him.
Yep. And that kind of leads us into, I have an alliance chart ready to go, because it's really the only thing that is providing some semblance of understanding as to what the F is happening in this house. So I'm going to see if I can zoom in on this one a little bit more as well. Oh, no, Twitter will not let me zoom in. So let me see if I can. Oh, that's a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sure. So it doesn't really block much either. So the alliances that we know of, I think the only alliances that are still standing are the Mandems with Betty, Helena, Tanisha, and Summer, and obviously the Bros. So what we have now is the Six, which has been formed. I believe it was formed yesterday, consisting of Kyle, Gino, Marty, Kevin, Herman, and JC Lynn. Sure, it's they downsized. So the Seven is no more. The Seven is gone. The Seven has completely disintegrated. So the Six is now the new version of the Seven. We have the other big one that I want to spend a lot of time talking about is the Rebel Rejects Alliance, which is still not fully formed, but basically an alliance consisting of Summer, Tanisha, Helena, Kevin, and Josh. And the plan is for this to be a 6-person alliance. The 6th person in the original plan was Herman.
Mm-hmm.
And they made this alliance, including Herman, without letting Herman know. And what makes that interesting is at one point yesterday, Kevin decided to go to Herman, saying that the two of them should work together. And at this point, Herman still had no clue about the Rebel Rejects Alliance that's trying to form. So because of that, Herman was like, why are you coming to me now? Why are you coming to me out of the blue? Kevin is coming to him because they're trying to include him in the Rebel Rejects, but Herman didn't know about that. And so Herman fakes to Kevin that he is 100% in with the bros. And because of that, Kevin goes back to Helena because Kevin and Helena are very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
And tells Helena there's not a chance we can have Herman in this alliance because Herman is in with the bros, even though Herman is not fully in with the bros, but Herman didn't know about the Rebel Rejects, so that's why he like faked to Kevin, because he didn't know that Kevin was a part of this whole situation. And it's like the stupidest, funniest thing. So now, because of that, Herman is not in the alliance, and instead they're considering bringing in Jess as their sixth, which I would personally rather see. I think that would be lovely. But sure. Yeah, so otherwise there's a lot of like two-person connections going on. Obviously, Kevin and Helena are working together. Helena and Jess are working together. Kevin and Jess have an understanding. Helena is really doing her best to kind of put herself in every little bit of the house, which I said, winner pick. That's my winner pick. Helena is doing the damn thing, which I appreciate, because she's also in with Marty. And so that has brought her into this potential final five that I'll talk about in a second, because that's also another big old wild thing. Obviously, Jess and Josh have an understanding, and they're not working together, but they have a really good understanding with each other. Marty and Gino have this French connection, which you will never beat William and Dre, point blank, and the period, but we move. And then obviously there's Steph and Herman, Steph and JC Lynn, Gino and JC Lynn, whatever. And Summer also has a really good working relationship with Marty, which I don't love Marty, but I love that for Summer because it keeps Summer safe. So cool.
I agree.
Yeah. What I want to dive into really quick, and then I think that's honestly all, because I don't really care to talk about much else that's happening, is the bros. So the bros has fully become a thing. It is Gino, Kyle, Herman, and Marty. That is a thing. Herman is kind of in, kind of out, but for the time being is in. And Kyle, after deciding today that he wanted to backdoor Josh, decided that he was going to try to pull in Helena on the possibility that Helena would vote to evict Josh, and was pretty much just, very condescending, and is like, Kyle was telling her, like, he will bring her into this 4. It'll get you, final 5, final 4, final 3, whatever. Like, basically just telling Helena that this is the only way she's going to be able to make it far in the game, which is bullshit. So Helena, to my knowledge at this point, is in, I use major fake quotations, with the bros. But obviously from what I just showed, from the update as to where votes currently lie, Helena plans on evicting Steph at this moment. Helena has been a very back and forth, but has been confirmed today to be voting out Steph, and they only need one more, so it doesn't really matter who it is between Kevin and Moose. There just needs to be one of them. I also want to acknowledge that there are 11 votes to evict this week, and Kyle still seems to think that he is a tie-breaking vote.
This man, oh my God. And I love that nobody's telling him either.
Oh, yeah, not a single soul has told him. that he is not a tie-breaking vote. But so that is where we lie currently. It looks like the vote is going to be 7-4 in favor of evicting Steph on Thursday. I don't like that it's that close, but that is what we're looking at the current moment in time. This house is only getting crazier. Pretty much everyone that is not voting to evict Josh this week is on the let's get Kyle out next week train, which I love.
Okay.
So at this point, I'm like, just anyone but Gino, Marty, or JL for HOH on Thursday.
Child.
Lana, I'm tired.
I am very much like checked. I'm trying not to get checked out completely.
I'm already kind of there, yeah.
I'm kind of at the door, like check out time, but I'm gonna reel it back in, and I'm gonna do my best. But like, I don't like what is happening. I hate it, but the fact of the matter is, and I saw something on Twitter today that I was just like, very that. When somebody said, when the house is separated by race now, people of color versus the white people, just know who did it. Just know who did it. Yep. Because the people of color were not in that game doing that. They were not saying that's what we're going to do. They were not trying to be the Cookout 2.0 version. They were not coming in with you forced them together. And when they start dominating and taking over, I don't want to hear one white person say this is a racist game. They're sticking together strictly because no. They were put together by necessity because you made it that way. That's not how they were playing the game from the beginning. They wanted to be free and flowy and fluid and all of that. And you're making it this way, Marty, Kyle. You're very, and people are waking up to that. Jess said something on the feeds that I was like, I see you, guess this. You said that. Jess was like, what we're not going to do is let these white men run this game and dominate this game and keep putting out people in the queer community, indigenous people of color. We're not going to do that. What we're not going to do is let that happen. So I hope Kyle and Marty knows that this week sealed their fate in this game, and I hope it takes them out. If Canada got to keep saving Marty, y'all need to check yourselves too. If that's what you go do.
Yeah.
If you don't see this, if you don't watch live feeds, let me tell you about live feeds. Marty is stalking a man in the house to prevent him from playing the game. A black gay man. And he doesn't trust any of the people of color, but he trusts all the white people. They're all fine. So, make that make sense to me. This week was kind of disgusting. Yep. And it's only week 3.
It's only half over.
Half.
We still have 3 days.
Right. We still don't know what's happening. It's kind of gross. So yeah, hopefully something happens where I don't know. I don't really know. I don't really care. I just know from this point up until this point, it's been disgusting.
Yeah. I hope Steph goes, even though she has kind of just become collateral damage at this point. I don't particularly love her, but I didn't really, she would necessarily didn't need to go this week. I would have been fine had she made jury. But like, she's got to go now.
Now she has to go.
And she hasn't done anything particularly like horrible. So I'm going to be not necessarily upset, but like you said, I wouldn't have been mad if she was going to stay over anyone but Josh.
Right.
Like, it's kind of where we're at. But yeah, I'm tired.
I'm tired. I'm done. It's nothing with you guys. We love you all. Everybody who watches and who takes the time to view us, we love you. It's this season right now that is just like, oof.
All of us that review it are kind of just like, oh God, like it's it's starting to turn into something we don't want to see. And just remember, like you said, Lana, remember who started it.
Remember who started it. Remember who started. Don't come on the timeline and in comments on people's podcasts, other podcasts, this podcast. Don't come commenting to us about, oh, it doesn't have to be that way. Yeah. Remember who made it that way.
Yep.
And that's all.
So with that, thank you so much for joining us for yet another episode of The Cup. That's what we thought about this godforsaken mess. But what do y'all think? Let us know in the comments. Thank you to everybody in chat. And we're gonna get out of here because we're tired. As a reminder, before you go, make sure that you are following us on Twitter at @thecup_reality. Follow Lana and I. Follow all of our lovely co-hosts and all of our guests that we have from time to time. I swear there will be more opinions coming in the BBCan universe. But you know, Lana and I are great, just as is, too. And as a reminder, our schedule, we're moving Mondays to 9:30-ish Eastern because we never start at 9 Eastern. So 9:30-ish for Mondays, and then Thursdays at 10:30 p.m. Eastern for the third live eviction. We will be there. We will be talking about it. Cheers, Lana.
Cheers, Logan.
Goodbye. This is a disaster. Not y'all, just this house. Goodbye.
We don't like